Hey guys, MGX for Fun here, and today we're going to talk about Commander from the new set Rivals of Ixalan. So I did a poll on Twitter, and this is what you guys wanted, so this is what you guys are going to get. So this is Zakama Primal Calamity. It is a 9/9, costs 6 generic or 6 colorless, however you remember it. I always say colorless, but generic is technically the new term. A red, a green, and a white. So this thing's huge. This thing is very big. It's a 9/9 with Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. When Zakama, the Primal Calamity, enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. That's huge. That's very big. And then we have pay a red and 2 colorless, deal 3 damage to target creature. Pay a green and 2 colorless, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And then pay a white and 2 colorless, and you gain 3 life. So it's a very versatile commander. Now, before we get into the deck, I'm going to tell you right now that it is not dinosaurs. The reason it is not dinosaurs is because this is not the commander that you should use for dinosaurs. If you want to play dinosaurs, you should play Jasath, the Sun's Avatar, because it's just better. It's much better for dinosaurs. However, Zakama is in its own category somewhere else. Zakama is kind of built like a Mael deck almost, Mael the Anima. You're just going to play a lot of really big, beefy creatures, and then you're going to swing with them, and probably take extra attack steps. And then you're just going to crush them underneath your feet. So, another thing I want to say before I do this is, I'm not gonna, that Commander plus 99 thing flopped. I didn't want to, because I don't want to give people a whole deck to have them just copy it. I think the important part of Commander is you build the deck how you want to build it. And if you're just looking up a build online, I don't know, to me it's just not the same. You're playing somebody else's creation. When I build a deck, I go on to a website and I look at some of the most common cards in all of the decks, and I put those in. And then the rest of the deck I build completely on my own. I build it with either A, what I have, B, what I want to put in there, or C, around some sort of stupid theme like my tribal birds or something. And so I'm just going to give you, I don't know, I'd probably like 15 cards or so that I think really should go in here. Now, another thing that I want to say is, this is how I would build it. This is not necessarily how you would build it or how you have to build it. Again, it's all up to you. If I were to build Jasath, or not Jasath, Zakama right now, this is how I would build it. I would build it around this theme of multiple attack steps and big creatures. So let's get started. So the first card we have is Aurelia the War Leader. So Aurelia the War Leader is a 3/4 for 2 white, 2 red, and 2 generic, with flying, vigilance, and haste. Really good already, but in the second ability it says whenever she attacks, for the first time each turn, untap all creatures you control, and after this phase there's an additional combat phase. So when you have a 9/9, and all you have to deal is 21 commander damage, that's really, really good. It's really powerful because you can do 18 damage with Zakama in one turn. So you can almost 2-hit somebody. She's just a really powerful card, and I think in these colors especially, that card is probably one of the best cards. And then we have Vorinclex, Voice of Hunger. So Vorinclex is one of those cards that as soon as you play it, people are going to target you. It's not a nice card, but it is very, very good. So Vorinclex is a 7/6 for 8 with Trample. Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of any type that land can produce, or that land produced, sorry. And then whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, that land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. Now, that card is really good. It makes a lot of people very mad, but it is very, very good. So, I put this in here because Zakama does cost 9, and 9 mana is a lot. And especially after Zakama dies a couple times, this will be really helpful for you. And later in the video, there's going to be another thing that does something similar to Vorinclex that I think you should really include. Especially since this is going to be just a deck full of big, beefy creatures. And then we have Samut, Voice of Dissent. She's a 3/4 for 5 with Flash, double strike, vigilance, and haste. Other creatures you control have haste. That is the key word that we're looking for, or the, well, key phrase, I guess. But giving other creatures haste is very, very important, especially when you're playing such big creatures. And then the second ability is you pay a white, tap it to untap another target creature. That ability is not as relevant as the giving other creatures haste, but it's still very good. And now we have Emeria Shepherd. So I didn't know this card existed until I made my Karametra deck. So Emeria Shepherd is a 4/4 for 7. That seems like a lot. She has flying and landfall. Whenever land enters a battlefield under your control, you may return target non-land permanent from your graveyard to your hand. If that land was a plains, you may return it to the battlefield instead. So with this creature out, if you play a plains, you basically get to reanimate something. It's ridiculous. It's really good. And I didn't realize what it did until very recently. So I would definitely recommend having that card in here. It's really good. You can let your commander go to the graveyard instead of the command zone and just bring it back. You won't get to untap your lands, but you still bring back a 9/9 for putting a land into play. And then, since land is going to be kind of an issue with such big creatures, we have Karametra, actually, God of the Harvest. So it's a 6/7 for 5, indestructible. As long as your devotion to green and white is less than 7, Karametra isn't a creature. And it says, whenever you cast a creature spell, you may search your library for a forest or plains card and put it in the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So again, with these colors, you can get dual lands that have the text forest, plains, or just forests. Put them into play anyway. So like the shocks and everything. And now this card is huge. So Gisela, Blade of the Gold Knight, is a 5/5 for 7 with flying and first strike. If a source would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent opponent controls, that source deals double that damage to that player or permanent instead. Double damage. So if we go back to Aurelia, gives you another tap step, or attack step, gives you double damage with Gisela, you can kill 2 people in 1 turn. It is absolutely insane. This card is really, really good. And then you take half damage rounded up whenever something deals damage to you, whether it be a creature or a spell or anything like that. And then this card I recommend to put in almost every deck. Solemn Simulacrum. It's really good. It's a 4/4 for 2, or it's a 2/2 for 4, sorry. When it enters the battlefield, search for a basic land, put it into play tapped, then shuffle your library. And when it dies, you get to draw a card. It's just a really, really simple, powerful creature that not a lot of people seem to use very often, and I don't understand why, especially in decks that don't have green, but it's extra powerful in decks that already have green because you get even more ramp. Not to mention you get a creature that if you block with it and it dies, oh no, you get to draw a card. It's really good. So now we're just going to go through some ramp stuff because again, 9 mana is a lot. So we have Farseek. Farseek obviously can get non-basic lands, which is really, really, really good in a deck that has more than 2 colors. And then we have Cultivate. Search for 2 basic lands, reveal them, put 1 into the battlefield tapped, and put the other 1 into your hand, then you shuffle your library. And then Kodama's Reach is the exact same thing as Cultivate, except it's an arcane spell. So if you have a spell that places into arcane, you don't have to pay the mana cost for that, I think is how it works. And then we have Skyshroud Claim, probably one of the best ramp spells. It is for 4 mana, 3 colorless, or generic, and 1 green. Search your library for up to 2 forest cards and put them into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So they don't come into play tapped, like all the other spells make lands come into play. They come into play untapped. Now granted, they're only forest cards, but again, it says forest cards, it doesn't say basic lands. So you can get non-basic lands that have the forest card type. And this card, it is a 5-drop spell, Traverse the Outlands. Search your library for up to X basic land cards where X is the greatest power among creatures you control, put them into the battlefield tapped, then shuffle your library. So if you have your commander out, that's 9 basic lands for 5 mana. That seems pretty good. And then the last couple cards we have is Zendikar Resurgence. So this card is really, really good. It is a 7-drop enchantment Whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana to your mana pool of any type that land produced. So it doubles your mana, and then whenever you cast a creature spell, you draw a card. So even if somebody counters one of your spells, you still get to draw a card. It's really, really good, and it's an underrated card. And then lastly, the last card I'm going to tell you is, I don't know how to say this, I'm sorry, but it's the Warrior Poet. It's the Planeswalker from the new set. I don't want to say it and sound like a dummy, but so it's a 5-drop Planeswalker for 3. You gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures you control for +2. That's 9 life. And that's a positive on the Planeswalker. That seems pretty good. And then her 0 is create a 3/3 green dinosaur creature token with trample. So again, it's not a dinosaur tribal deck, but making a 3/3 is still good. And then -X, she deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures. Creatures dealt damage that way can't block this turn. So, say somebody has a field of blockers, have, I don't know, 5 or 6 creatures, and you have Zakama, and they've already been hit by Zakama twice, so you only need to get through one more time. You -7, deal 1 damage to all of them, they can't block, and your opponent's dead. That's all there is to it. So, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, it really helps me out. Subscribe if you haven't already. And also, I'd like you to comment down below who you want me to do next. And then they will go on a list of commanders that I have to do, and then I'll decide among those which comes out at which times, but they all will come out eventually. I'm going to start a list on like a Word document or something of all the commanders that people want me to do, and then I'll do them. The only thing is, I don't repeat, so if I've already done it, I'm not going to do it again. That includes the really old episodes like Nimbuzet and Tibor and Lumia and things like that, because not very much has changed since I made those videos as far as what cards would be in it. They're still kind of the same idea. So I'm going to stick with just doing these commanders once over. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.